Hello, I'm Natasha Chilingarian.
And I'm Michael Ogden. This is Shared Accounts with CU Times. This month on the pod, we're talking about the tech landscape facing credit unions. And today, we're taking a journey down to Houston, Texas, where we'll get the detailed description of its heat and humidity through the eyes of a credit union IT department. I'm just kidding. We'll talk about a lot more than that. Welcome to Shared Accounts with CU Times. On today's pod, we're discussing credit union IT operations with Ralph Owens. He is Chief Information Officer for Members Choice, a credit union, like I said, all the way down in Houston with about $755 million in assets. He's a really fun guy who knows a lot more about tech than we do, so stay tuned for that. First up, time to take a break, take a breather from the week. This is when we check in with Natasha. Hey, Ann.
Hey, M. Happy Monday.
Yeah, whatever day this is. Hey,
Yeah, I know.
I do have a question for you.
Sure.
How are you with daylight savings time changes?
Normally I'm okay. I kind of took it rough this year for some reason. I was really out of it. But I
Same.
will say, and I think some of our listeners can relate to this, it's often fallen the week of GAC.
Hmm.
And so haven't gone in the past few years, as you know, but when I used to go to that, I would have to go to GAC and not only deal with the 3-hour time change from the West Coast, but also deal with daylight savings. And it was
Ugh.
just brutal.
Sure.
So that's what I always think of when I think about this daylight savings.
Every time it happens, I feel like it's worse. I mean, I'm like, dude, it's 1 hour. How hard can this
I
be?
don't know.
But I'm a wreck and I
Maybe
hate
we're just
it.
getting older. It's just part of the
Different topic. Let's move on.
Yes.
Natasha, what'd you watch this past week?
Well, so on that topic, I do want to share a kind of a sad update
Oh,
as a
no.
follow-up, yeah, to what I mentioned last week. So last week, for those who didn't hear, I brought up this bald eagle live nest cam in Big Bear, California. So
Uh,
there's this couple, a pair of bald eagles named Jackie and Shadow. They had
mhm.
3 eggs. And so last week was when they were supposed to hatch, and they didn't hatch.
No,
It just
no.
didn't happen. And it's actually very sad. So I guess this happened to them last season as well. So they
Aw.
had 2 eggs, they never hatched, but they, like, couldn't let go of sitting on the eggs, and there's this really sad video of the male, Shadow, standing there and staring at the nest and just looking so depressed and not able to process the fact that the
Oh,
eggs,
man.
well, they had since been eaten by ravens. Anyway, I will say that I'm
This is
much more
terrible.
depressed about this than I thought I would be, and
Yeah.
it also maybe speaks to the fact that I've regressed socially if I'm crying over an eagle cam now.
Aw. It's okay. That's okay.
But yeah, that's so I watched that. I'm trying to stay away from it now, and I have been distracting myself by watching Love Is Blind on Netflix, just
Oh.
something totally stupid and ridiculous that I can make fun of. So I have been watching that.
Very quickly, never watched it. I know of it. What is it about?
So it's a dating reality show,
Okay.
but they're in these pods where they speak to each other, but they can't see each other.
Okay.
And so they are supposed to fall in love with each other based on what's on the inside, and they're not supposed to talk about what they
Sure.
look like or
Sure.
anything. And they
Sure.
actually get to a point where they get engaged without seeing each other, which is really,
No.
yeah, and after, like,
I'm
a few
against this
weeks or
show.
something, and then they unveil, and then they're engaged, and then they're like, "Alright, let's do this unveiling," and then they see what each other looks like, and sometimes they're like, "Oh my god, you're so hot," and then other times they're like, "Oh, okay," and it's just awkward, and it's just, yeah.
Hey, man. It sounds like the Doritos of shows. It's just junk.
There you go. That's a good way
Okay.
to put it.
Great.
Anyway, so what did you watch? Hopefully something more sophisticated.
You know what? I'm looking back on my list, and if I'll say this right now, if you are interested in like seeing the dumb things I watch, you can find me on Letterboxd.
Right?
If you
Yeah.
watch movies, a lot of people know what this app is, but I log in all the movies on Letterboxd. So follow me. That's fine. You can see the dumb things I watch. I watch a bunch of stuff. I'll mention a couple.
Okay.
I revisited a movie that I watched when I was really young, but I watched it like 100 times. And I watched it in the past 6 days or so. It was the 1978's Heaven Can Wait with Warren Beatty.
Okay.
God, is that still funny? It is still a really good movie. If you haven't watched it or never seen it, or if you haven't watched it in decades, watch it again. Warren Beatty looks fabulous. His hair is just awesome. But it's such a good movie. I loved it.
Okay.
Heaven can
I'll
wait.
say I haven't seen that one, but I do love an old school Warren Beatty. This movie Splendor in the
Oh,
Grass, which
sure.
also stars Natalie Wood. That's actually one of my favorite
Oh,
movies of all
Natalie
time. And
Wood.
yeah, he's also looking fabulous there.
Yeah, I forget what you think, about him personally. Get past
Yeah.
that. But man, he was really good. Heaven can wait. The other thing I watched was just terrible. And I have to
Oh.
sometimes point out the terrible ones. It's a relatively new movie. It's on Netflix. It's called Reptile.
Oh,
And
yes. Right. I saw that
oh no,
on
where
there.
is it? Yeah, here it is. Reptile. Benicio del Toro, great actor. Justin Timberlake, no, thank you.
Yeah.
Then Alicia Silverstone. I have no idea what this dumb movie was about. It was just over 2 hours of numb, boring. What
Oh,
did I give it? 1.5 stars. My review was yawn. That's all I wrote.
gosh.
Anyway, Reptile, don't watch it.
Okay. I don't worry, I won't.
Okay,
Okay, well, let's kind of switch gears now
sure.
to the topic that we discussed with our guest today.
Oh yeah.
Credit union IT departments is the topic and
hmm
sort of the operations of IT departments. What do you think about just when you think of an IT department at a credit union? What comes to mind for you?
I would hate their job. I give them all the praise.
Hmm.
Man, the cybersecurity, the fraud that they have to deal with, on a daily basis. But then this is just me. Then I think about all the dum dums internally that are like, "Hey, my laptop doesn't work," and then
Right,
tech just says,
exactly.
"Did you plug it in?" "Oh no, I didn't." I would hate dealing with those types of people.
Exactly.
So God bless IT departments. You're doing the work out there. What do you think about them?
Yeah, I feel the same. I used to work for a credit union, as
hmm
you know. Yeah, and I just remember you would only hear from them, when you were doing your onboarding and they're getting you set up and reminding you to change your password or they're reminding you to take your
hmm
cybersecurity training. So there's never any, it wasn't a very engaging department as far as what I remember there,
Uh-huh.
at least. But I can imagine they just have so much on their plates
Oh
with
yeah.
cybersecurity and just the threat of that, all that kind of the responsibility they hold.
hmm
But it was interesting when we spoke with our guest today. So, our guest was Ralph Owens with Members Choice Credit Union. Very smart guy, knows a
Yeah.
lot about tech, very passionate about tech. But what I thought was interesting is that he talks about why the IT department shouldn't just be like sitting on their own island. They need to be really integrated with the rest of the credit union, have
Yeah.
a seat at the table with the leadership, and even meet with other departments like marketing so that other employees can actually appreciate them and
hmm
work together with them, maybe then that means they'll be happy to see them instead of just like panicked that they've been hacked or,
Yeah.
oh, I failed
Right.
my social engineering test,
Yeah.
which I remember I did once, which is so embarrassing to say, but I do remember unfortunately failing like a social engineering test from like a
Oh,
phone
that's good.
call asking for my passwords. Anyway,
Whoops.
don't tell anyone else at our company that I said that.
Okay.
But it was a long time ago. It would never happen again.
Sure.
Anyway, so Ralph will be talking about that and a whole lot more of things related to IT coming up next.
Hi there, listeners. I want to share some exciting information on a bold new digital publication we launched late last year called the Executive Briefing. As the name suggests, this monthly newsletter is available by subscription only, by the way, and is comprised of exclusive editorial content and analysis of credit union data, trends, and news, information you will not find online. Why? Because we don't put it online. It only comes to your email and is only available to subscribers. You'll have immediate access to abundance of content to help grow the organization, better serve your members. In March, we have dug into the data behind DEI and credit union leadership. In April, we're going to be analyzing credit union and fintech partnerships. Are they working? To subscribe, go to cutimes.com/subscribe or click on the subscribe tab on the CU Times homepage. It's one of the new ways we are expanding our CU Times digital world for you. Check it out. The executive briefing at cutimes.com/subscribe.
Okay, credit union IT operations, let's jump in. Joining us in the virtual studio today is Members Choice Credit Union Chief Information Officer Ralph Owens. Ralph, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Thank you. Thank you. I'm doing well. Thank you very much.
Great, great. Okay, so just to get us started here, can you share just a little bit about your background at Members Choice? So, how long have you been with Members Choice Credit Union? And then what are your key responsibilities in your role as Chief Information Officer?
Absolutely. I've been with Members Choice for a little bit over a year. I am directly responsible for the IT infrastructure, help desk, application development, business intelligence and data management, enterprise application security, and IT cybersecurity.
Okay.
All right, Ralph, taking a look at your resume on LinkedIn, and yes, we do that for every guest, so don't think we're creepy or anything, but you've worked in a bunch of tech across a variety of industries. What pulled you into the credit union industry in particular, and how does working for a credit union compared to your other gigs in the tech side?
Great question. What drew me to the credit union industry is the mission of the credit union itself, which is to serve its members. I could say that there's something special about working for an organization that is driven by its customers' needs instead of other outside interests, if you can understand what I mean.
Yeah, of course. Is there something in particular, like when you were interviewing for the gig at Members Choice, that really struck a chord with you?
Just how focused they were on the members and their experience. I came from a previous credit union before coming here, which I was very intimately close with the member experience. And again, working for an organization that is driven by a change in the lives of their customers to make it better every day creates a certain type of culture, which was very attractive to me.
Of course.
Right. Well, we love hearing that. So, going back to just technology in general, I'm curious how did you personally become interested in technology and wanting to pursue that as a career? Has it been a passion since childhood, or was it something you discovered later on, or how did you kind of get your interest peaked in it?
Now, great question. As a child, I had a natural ability to just understand electronics. It just always worked for me. But after high school, I decided to join the United States Navy and became a welder on nuclear submarines. I realized over the course of a few years that that was not what I wanted to do in life. And so my love for technology caused me to go back to school at night to learn network administration. And as they say, the rest is history from there.
If I can ask, I recently rewatched Hunt for Red October. Was that an influence for you signing up?
No, it was not actually.
Oh, okay.
Good question.
Just thought I'd ask. Last year, you actually wrote an editorial for us, and I recall it. I went back and looked at it again. It was called CU Challenges Give CIOs the Opportunity to Emerge as Valued Internal Partners. Can you explain what that means to establish the CIO slash IT department as a valued partner at a credit union? How do you do that?
Yeah, this really means having a seat at the decision making table with our partners. In times past, IT has sometimes been seen as more of a service organization and not as a partner to help make strategic decisions. As we can all agree, it's very hard to find a project or an initiative today that does not involve technology. So the closer we stay connected to our internal business partners, the better the decision making process becomes for the company as a whole.
How do you do that? How do you pull that off?
So we meet with our internal customers on a regular basis, right? So we take the time to meet at least once a quarter or at least once a month to find out what initiatives they have going, let them know what we're actually working on. We get feedback from them on how we're servicing them. And we basically build a partnership so that when they need resources or if they need support, it's not something that's foreign to us. We're not on an island. We're actually engaged with their decision making process so that we can help enable them to fulfill their business goals.
Very cool.
And Ralph, what would you say are the biggest challenges credit union IT departments face today?
I think, like most companies, cybersecurity ranks at the top of the list. The bad actors are constantly changing their tactics, which forces us to stay on top of the latest trends, ensuring we have the right partners in place to protect our members' assets. So that is the very first thing that comes to mind for me.
Sure, sure. And with that, do you have a specific strategy that you're kind of employing for cybersecurity? I know you mentioned working with partners. Is that key, or is there anything else that you're doing right now to stay on top of that?
Now, great question. I think with organizations our size, you have to work with partners. The staff that it would take to do what our partners do for us today would cost us a lot more money. I put it that way. The partners typically are on the cutting edge of technology. They understand what all the latest trends are and they're adapting because they have 24 hours a day to just focus specifically on that. So I think as part of a great strategy, you have to partner with the right companies in order to give you the access to the knowledge and the technology that it takes to be able to compete with the bad actors that are constantly trying to get into your organizations today.
Can I ask a little bit more about that, Ralph? Because we've had a number of interviews this past month talking about fintech and security and fraud and cybersecurity and all of this stuff. What is it that fraudsters are doing so well that's just so frustrating to watch? I would be a terrible criminal. I do not have a criminal type mind. So, what do you see when you walk in that you're like, well, that was impressive, you know?
Well, believe it or not, in most cases that I've seen, the technology that's been put in place to defend against the bad actors is pretty substantial. The way the bad actors are actually getting in are through legitimate means like emails and phishing. You can have all of the latest cybersecurity technology to defend against bad actors getting into your organization, but all it takes is for one user to click on one link in an email, and you basically open the front door.
That's terrifying.
It is. So not only are we keeping up with the trends and making sure that our external technology posture is correct, but training our users and keeping them aware and testing them on links and making sure that they're reading them the right way becomes a challenge as well.
So you just said the word challenge, and I want to kind of go further down this path. Are you or are credit unions that you know, in terms of the challenge of IT talent, recruitment, and retention, is that a problem right now?
Absolutely. It definitely is. I think we all saw when COVID happened, the great migration, I think is what they called it. Many people moving from company to company. One of the things I personally like to do is try to pour as much into the talent we have as possible. I like to focus on a lot of recognition, sincere appreciation, and upskilling, right? Making sure that we're investing in their education. We like to let our team members know that money is not the sole reason for leaving the company. Some of the factors that really should play a part in their decision making process are: what leadership are you actually going to be working for? What's the company culture you're actually going to be going to? Do you have the training opportunities that are going to help build your career?
Hmm.
All of these things play a part in your decision making process, and that's really helped us a lot to retain really great talent.
Similarly, do you have any advice for credit unions who are also facing these challenges?
Absolutely. Invest in your people. Invest in your people and help them to understand exactly what parts or what factors go into making a decision to move to another company. Sometimes it's just a matter of a conversation because, as most companies do, we have a lot of young folks in our organization, great team members, but sometimes they don't think past the number that's being offered in front of them.
Sure.
Those of us who have been in this industry for quite a long time, like myself, we can have conversations about, these are the things you probably want to factor into your decision making process, and then just leave it for them to make the decision, right?
Yeah, you could potentially offer them a work share program on a nuclear submarine for a couple of weeks. Like, hey, you want to try out that job for a bit?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I can attest to that.
Yeah. Well, I love that you bring that up, Ralph, because the culture is so important. I do know people personally who they make really nice figure, but yet their culture at their job is awful and they're miserable. So it's definitely something to consider. Doesn't make it worth it. So yeah, I love that. Okay, so kind of moving to a different topic now. Another thing that we learned about you is that you're a proponent of using enterprise project management tools and IT dashboards at your job. Could you tell us why these are valuable tools for credit union IT departments and just kind of explain what they are and also some best practices around using them?
Absolutely. This is one of my favorite topics. I love to dig into this.
Oh,
So
really? Natasha, we got to write this down. This is the first time anybody has been excited about this. So I love it. I love when people are passionate.
I study a lot of leadership material, and over the years, I've learned that you cannot manage what you do not measure. So, with the inherent responsibility that we have as technology leaders on the operational side of the house, keeping systems up and running and doing what they need to do in order for our organization to continue to make revenue, you need dashboards to know if you're winning or losing. So, identifying the key components that ensure that you are providing service to your customers is first critical. Understanding what those KPIs are, and then building dashboards around those KPIs so that you can measure your success or measure if you're failing. But what it does is it gives the entire team a snapshot as to how we're doing, and it galvanizes everyone in the same direction. I think another way the dashboard serves us is it translates the value to the organization that the IT department actually produces. So when we can show that we were able to keep 100% uptime on certain critical systems, which equated to the production of this revenue for said amount of time, we played a part in that, and this is how we did it.
Yeah. Now, is this something that you implemented when you came on board at Members Choice, or was it already in place?
Yeah, it was a great question. It was something I implemented. It was something that I did at my last job, and it was also something that I wanted to see coming in the door here. I came looking for it, and when I didn't see it, we put it in place.
Great.
Yeah, okay.
This isn't an advertisement for them, but would you mind sharing like what platforms do you like out there for project management like this?
So, sure, absolutely. So, from the project management perspective, I just believe that project management is the lifeblood of the company's growth strategy.
Yeah.
And here's the reason why I say that. The strategy of the organization to grow and to produce more revenue is typically tied to multiple projects. So you need a good tool that helps you to become efficient and successful with your project management execution,
Hmm.
right? Which is why I'm such a proponent of and supporter of project management tools. We use a tool called MindStack, which I really, really like.
Okay.
It's very customizable and it allows us to get the data that we need from the executive level, from the project management level, and even down to
Hmm.
the worker level. So it fit the needs that we had at our organization, so we use it extensively.
I like the on the ground recommendation, So thanks for sharing that. I really like the very specific details of what you are and what you do. It's really great because you like utilizing cloud infrastructure. You're a big proponent of that as well. Can you kind of share your thoughts about how credit unions could better use and utilize cloud infrastructure and what are those advantages?
Cloud infrastructure allows us to build robust infrastructure. I've worked on infrastructure basically my entire career,
Hmm.
most of it being on premise. Cloud is roughly about 10 years old or a little bit older than that. So when you're able to utilize a cloud for infrastructure, you get a level of stability and robustness that you just simply cannot get with on-prem technology.
Yeah.
You want to be able to, especially with the nature of what we do, people's money. You nor I ever want to go to the bank to withdraw our money and to hear, oh, our systems are down.
Yeah.
It's just not a good fit.
Never.
Right? So you want infrastructure that can withstand outages and failures. In my experience, for the cost, nothing compares to what you can do with cloud infrastructure. And if architected and secured correctly, which is the key, architected and secured correctly, you can create a robust infrastructure and maintain it with a fraction of the staff that you need to support the same amount of on-prem infrastructure.
To get a tad bit more nerdy on this, years ago, previous gig, I worked in telecom and I had a lot of experience with co-location. Is co-location dead now for credit unions? Is it mainly cloud?
Well, for us, and I can only speak for
Sure.
us, we use the cloud extensively.
Yeah.
Right? So we plan our architecture so that if things go down, with the exception of in-person, face-to-face transactions, we can continue to run our company even off-prem. And
Yeah.
that's because of the flexibility that the cloud gives us to be able to do that.
And just quickly to follow up on that, have you ever experienced a disaster situation where you were brought down and the cloud actually did kick in and you were able to have that backed up and ready to go? Have you experienced that?
So not since I've been here at Members Choice. I wasn't here when the COVID pandemic happened, so I can't speak to that time. But we have had weather events here in Houston that have caused us to close locations in which our employees were able to continue to work as though nothing happened based on their ability to connect to the internet.
Yeah.
Sure. Right. Absolutely. Next, I wanted to ask you about member data. So I know that's an interesting topic. We've talked to some other sources in the industry about this, and a lot of them have said how credit unions are sitting on a gold mine of data, but they don't always use it. They could be doing a lot more to use this data to then eventually improve services, do more targeted marketing with members, and eventually improve the member experience. So I was wondering what your thoughts were on data. At Members' Choice, how do you approach that? Do you have a strategy around the use of data?
Great question. I think one of the main goals of every credit union should really be to deepen the relationship with its members. What do I mean by that? This means helping the members to take advantage of other services and offerings that the credit union has available. It costs more money to obtain a new member off the street than it does to deepen the relationship with an existing member.
Hmm.
Right?
Right.
So the way you do this is with data. And this goes directly to your point about being able to look at the data and analyze the data that you currently have to figure out what other services your members are actually using and how you can target those services to your members to make their lives more convenient and also for a win for the credit union as well.
And this is kind of getting a little bit kind of your personal take on things, but in your role as CIO, in that perspective, how has that CIO role changed or evolved in recent years? Or has it?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I believe it has. I believe that the CIO role has evolved from being just a leader of a service organization to an actual business partner. Again, to my earlier point, there's not, there are not too many projects or initiatives that happen today without technology. And the closer the CIO can be to the initial phase of the idea, the better the outcome is going to be for the organization as a whole.
Yeah, your touch points to the member, internal, external vendors. The CIO position, that whole area touches everything the credit union does. That's why I would think the role would be almost too much to handle anymore.
Well, I wouldn't say too much to handle, but it definitely has a wide breadth of responsibility, a wide area of responsibility.
Well, speaking for myself, I'm terrible at math, so God bless you. So great.
Admire you so much. Now, kind of going back, I know you talked about how the IT department at Members Choice, instead of sitting on its own island, it's really integrated. It has the seat at the table with all leadership. It really touches all areas of the credit union. Is there a way that you approach collaborating with or interacting with other employees throughout the credit union in order to keep them engaged with or interested in IT related initiatives and tasks? I'll just say I actually used to work at a credit union in the marketing department. And the way I remember IT is, you never really heard from them much unless it was like, oh, we have to do this social engineering test. So be aware of that. Or they would call and say, oh, you need to change your password. Or, it would be something you're kind of like, I don't want to deal with this. How do you engage with the rest of the credit union and other employees that are not involved with tech to kind of let them know that tech is still important to what they're doing and to kind of keep them engaged with and interested in what you're doing?
So going back to one of my earlier points about meeting with our internal business partners on a regular frequency. So we meet with our marketing department specifically, since you called that out, just to find out, hey, how are things going? What type of new initiatives do you have? What's coming up on your roadmap? Giving them the opportunity to give us feedback about how we're serving them, right? Instead of it being a transaction on the other side of a service ticket, we're actually sitting with them and actually having a conversation. And they could tell us about the struggles because a lot of times people, just as humans, when you need to get something done, if there's a quick workaround, sometimes we'll just take the quick workaround instead of actually surfacing the issue so they can be fixed. When we have those conversations, we hear about those things. Yeah, I probably could put a ticket in for that, but I just do this. Well, let us go ahead and take that and let us go ahead and fix that for you. Or again, to the marketing department, they have data that they need from various sources that they wish they could get easier. Okay, well, let's work on an automation project to automate something like that for you. It's by having those conversations that we become so ingrained with the way that they do business that we give them capacity to be successful with their business objectives.
So, last question in this particular segment of the show, Ralph, for you. What IT related projects or tech related projects, initiatives are you currently working on or have coming up at Members Choice that you are excited about, that you're ready to get out into the public with?
Yeah, that's a great question. Right now, what it really has me excited is our robotic process automation project. So we are working with a partner to analyze some of our more manual business processes.
Okay.
Those things that we just normally have to do over and over again that could be automated. The partner will be coming to the table and creating bots to automate that process. So we expect to give our employees some capacity to focus on more higher level priority tasks. So I'm really excited about that.
What's the timeline for this?
We plan to have that done by the end of Q3 this year.
We will be checking in on that. That's cool.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's pretty rad. Okay, final segment of the show, Ralph. This is kind of a more fun part, which is all about you, okay? These questions. Did some Googling. Famous people from Houston. Wait, Ralph, where are you from originally?
St. Louis, Missouri.
St. Louis. Can I say something about St. Louis?
Absolutely.
Worst cheese pizza ever in St. Louis. I love St. Louis. I have dear friends in St. Louis, but their cheese pizza is terrible for some reason. What are your thoughts on St. Louis, Ralph?
It's always going to be home. There are definitely some specialty things there that I can't get anywhere else in the world, so I have to go home to get it. But it will always be home for me.
I have very good friends who work at KMOX.
Oh, nice.
So I totally dig St. Louis. Okay. Famous people from Houston include the following, Ralph: Beyonce, Kenny Rogers, Michael Dell, Jennifer Garner, and Patrick Swayze. Of those people, who would you want to have dinner with?
Michael Dell, absolutely.
Really? Why?
I knew it.
Well, because Dell, I guess. Duh. Yeah.
Well, not just because of the technology, but I love to study successful entrepreneurs. I like to understand the way they think and the way they approach ideas and challenges. I think that is what makes them so unique and makes them successful. So I would love to just have dinner with them just to kind of figure out how he thinks.
Cool answer. I do believe he also owns the largest penthouse in New York City or something.
It'd be a great place to have the dinner. Yeah. Okay, next question. If you were hosting an out of town guest who has never been to Houston before, where's the first place you would take them? And don't say the Galleria.
Well, the first place you have to go to when you come to Texas is Buc-ee's.
There you
Yes.
go.
There is nothing like it. There is nothing like it in the rest of the country.
Can you explain what Buc-ee's is for the people who don't know?
Oh, I'm sorry. Great point. So Buc-ee's is like the top premium tier gas station where there's like a mini Walmart inside of it. And the bathrooms are so pristine. You'd be so impressed if you ever saw it in real life.
He's not kidding, people. They are incredible. And the tacos are really good.
They are.
Okay, sorry. You caught me thinking about Buc-ee's bathrooms. Love them. Okay, next question. If you had to delete all the apps on your phone except for 3, which 3 would you keep?
That's a hard one. The top three that float to the top for me are my email, my text messaging application, and my banking app for sure.
Oh, okay, good. Great answer.
Oh, see, that's interesting because when I wrote that question, I didn't think about the core apps. You think of like, well, text is just in there. I guess I was thinking of the ones you would download, but no, you were right. You're thinking of it the right way. So, speaking of mobile phones, what was your very first cell phone, and what do you remember about that experience of having your very first cell phone?
I had to think really, really hard on this. I want to say it was a Carosia. I forget the name, how you actually pronounce it. I don't even think the company's here anymore. But I do remember it was a flip phone with black and green screen.
Yeah.
I'm really dating myself.
I love it. Okay, next question, Ralph. What was the last movie you watched?
It was The Beekeeper.
Oh, with Jason
Statham.
Statham. Thank you. What'd you think?
Absolute must see. I love it.
Okay.
Absolute must see.
On my list too. Yeah, I got
It's
a
on
lot
the
to
list.
catch up on with the movies. All right. Well, Ralph Owens with Members Choice Credit Union. It was such a pleasure meeting you, and thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
And for all of our listeners, please subscribe to Shared Accounts with CU Times anywhere you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever. You know how this works. And if you'd like to rate us, we would love your feedback. And also, for those of you with questions or comments, feel free to email me over at nchilingarian@cutimes.com, or you can email Michael at mogden@cutimes.com.
That's right. Also, if you want some data-driven details on DEI and credit unions, subscribe to our executive briefing at cutimes.com/subscribe. In March, we're going to be exploring the issue inside our executive briefing, and it's only available to subscribers. New topic each month. Check it out at cutimes.com/subscribe to get that executive briefing. Thank you so much to our producer, Zach Nyheisel. Join us again next week for more Shared Accounts. Until then, thanks for listening.